Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back, everybody.
We hope everybody is doing well and enjoying their holy day, holiday,
Indeed.
their playful day, hopefully a festive day.
We hope it's very, very festive. Yes.
A day of togetherness with others, if possible. It's always a blessing to be with family, and it's Cindy and I and Sassy and Rama and Sita as usual.
Yes. Huge blessings.
It is. But in this day of technology, as with you all, it's always you're always wishing each other the best, even though there might be thousands of miles separating you and other loved ones.
And isn't that nice in this day and age that we can reach out to our loved ones, despite the mileage between us? Thank goodness.
And we're going to be able to do that in the age to come instantaneously, just by thinking about it. This is, part of the unveiling of all that is to come. Before we get going, we are so darn close to getting back over 66,000 subscribers. They're like putting the brakes on as much as they possibly can because they don't like seeing the light grow, but we're going to keep pushing, and we do ask you guys, if you are so inclined, please do subscribe and click the bell, both to Evolutionary Energy Arts and to EEARTS, and try to share the videos as much as possible so we can keep reaching others. It's our purpose to be here in these times in order to help others in the transition from what has been a third density Earth to a fifth density Earth.
We definitely have some information we love to share with you guys on our own transition. So we like to use our own experiences to kind of help you if you need it.
It's not our first rodeo.
No, it's not.
and when I say that, I know it puts a little pitter-patter in Cindy's heart because she loves horses and she would so love to have a horse.
Yes.
But we could sell for some Easter eggs.
Yes. I mean, I'll take something fuzzy like a bunny, sure.
Look at this guy. Isn't he adorable? So many people today are out there doing their traditions. Our traditions, they do hold a special place in so many people's hearts. As a kid, Easter was always Easter egg hunts. That's really what it was. And candy. And I was always partial to the white chocolate, really. I'm a white chocolate guy.
I'm just, give me chocolate. I don't care what color.
Yeah, that's true. I could guarantee it. And look at how much fun the kids have, no matter what the weather. Growing up in New England, too, if it came in March, as far as Easter, it could still be pretty damn miserable. But in April, it was starting to feel like rebirth. And ultimately, Easter is all about rebirth. Yes, of course, to kids, it's all about candy. And to many adults, it's still all about candy.
Well, it's about that celebration, and creating the energy of celebration is what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. And it's so much fun to play with others. If we could only cultivate that and every day play with others. Think about that. It doesn't really matter, does it? As far as the actual history of things, where things came from, we could always argue minutia. It's really the energy that things cultivate and build in us. If it's positive, even if it was, basically based on something that was not perfectly accurate, if it cultivates positive energies and love and gratitude and oneness, then it's a good thing.
I think that's so important in our life. We all have different journeys of how we got from A to B, but the whole point is we got there.
Absolutely. And now if we get the rest of the world to all get along just like these pups, this is what it should be all about. We need to resurrect the love within our own hearts. And, for many, this is all about an empty tomb. And this is all about those stories that we've gotten since our youth that have been handed down to us from generation after generation. And the tomb being empty represents hope.
It does. And that's what we're trying to cultivate here. We're trying to cultivate that newness, that hope, that newfound feeling like it's a brand new day, like things are going to go great today.
It was hitting me too that it was not even too long ago, but maybe 12, 13 years ago, that I was going to a Lutheran church and actually went to a sunrise service, even though I didn't believe in the dogma for 40 years. Pretty much, I didn't believe in the dogma, but I believe in the energy and the love that's shared between people. And I used to love at that little Lutheran church in South Carolina to just go and have the potluck dinners, just like I would go down in Florida to the Kirtans, and we'd have vegan potluck dinners on Sundays and just sing mantras, but not just mantras. I mean, we had a diversity of people. So, we were singing Native American songs. We were singing things from the Judeo-Christian tradition, all different things. We were blending them together because ultimately we're all unique expressions of Source. And Yeshua, who most of the world knows as Jesus, was a very, very unique expression of Source in the flesh and out of flesh. And he's still here for anybody to contact. And what a beautiful, compassionate being.
Very much so. Someone who wants to come here and teach us how to feel and love through our heart chakra, someone who teaches the true meaning of forgiveness and the true meaning of life.
Absolutely. He is risen, is what is celebrated by Christians on this day. Death could not hold him. Rejoice in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And again, his real name was Yeshua. And, we have shared with you guys before that what we have gotten, and Cindy's channeled him multiple times, and he is one of our main guides. That the official story is not the real narrative, but again, it's the love in the heart that really matters. It's the overcoming that really matters. Death could not hold him. Death cannot hold any of us. Really, that's the thing to realize. Death is not the end. Yeshua's mission was all about awakening humanity to the fact that we are eternal beings, and some of the things that he said, just they won't make sense from the official narrative. And again, there are some things attributed to him that he didn't say, and there's other things that he did say that we don't know of. Again, we just basically have what we have. And the scriptures that we have, for the most part, they come hundreds of years after he was walking on the earth. We do have some fragments of some, but we could still connect with him. This is the thing. We can't connect with him. And that's the beauty of it, because he's not lost. He's not gone. He's still here. He's just simply existing on a higher density. And when we die, because we were talking about death not holding him, death doesn't hold really any of us. When we die, it's simply you open a door, you walk through it, and you're in a new reality.
Things change. So when it comes to energy, it cannot be destroyed, and energy changes. It changes form. So we might not be able to see it in that same light spectrum. That doesn't mean that it's gone.
Yes, the fascinating, amazing minds of people like Tesla and Einstein and Max Planck and all these other just brilliant minds were in agreement that you can't get behind consciousness, meaning as far as what is the prime driver, what is that which comes first? It's consciousness. The body is not creating the mind. The mind exists independent of the body. The self exists independent of the body. And in reality, the physical body is just the most dense inner layer, so to speak. Think of those Russian dolls all layered one upon the other. It's very much like that. And with the physical body just being only the most dense one. When we see the symbol of the Ankh, and we recognize many people are probably more familiar with the symbol of the cross, well, the Ankh is a symbol of life, and it represents life eternal. It's immortality. And Cindy was getting some information from the guides on this.
Well, they were showing me, this is the keys to life. These are the keys to understanding. And that's the word that they used more, was the word keys. So whenever you have this it's a symbolism, helps you move through different doorways.
Absolutely. In ancient Egypt, and again, this culture is very, very ancient, and it's one of the oldest ones we have on the planet. Well, in ancient Egypt, death wasn't the end. It was just a transition. It was merely a transition to the afterlife, to eternal life. And it was just well known. And, this is the same with every culture we have on this globe. There really wasn't any indigenous culture that thought that this was it. That's it. You die and then you're nothingness. You're gone. You're like a candle blown out. No, that's not the case. That is not the case. And when we start to do comparative mythology, study different traditions, go back as far as we can, the ancient ones really recognized the fact that there were different densities. They perhaps wouldn't describe it as a quantum physicist would describe it to you, but they would tell you that life exists all around us. You felt that draft? Well, somebody might have walked right through you. And that really happens all the time.
We could just be standing there and you might be feeling these energies, these little vibrations, the little goosebumps, or you might hear something and you get these goosebumps. And I call those truth bumps.
Truth bumps, yes, exactly. So it was just simply a transition. Among the Egyptians, it was mainly a symbol, we're talking about the Ankh, of life or immortality. In this sense, it also had a certain relationship with death and rites associated with death. It's just a transition period. That's all. It's a transition. Most of the crosses we have, too, from other cultures all around the world were equilateral. If we go back, you find equilateral crosses, meaning both the horizontal and the vertical are equal. And when we look to our modern representation of the cross, it's not the case. And again, when we see it in an equilateral way, we're kind of looking at the four elements in balance and harmony. Whereas the modern cross, there is a disharmony to it because it's not equal. And there's a disharmony on this world because, again, there's an inequality in recognizing the balance that we have. When we look at the yin and the yang symbol, and you see a little bit of darkness in the light, a little bit of light in the darkness, and how they just wrap around each other. This is the divine masculine, divine feminine in interplay, which gives us the manifest universe. So when we're talking about, this day and the empty tomb and death not being able to hold any of us, it's not going to hold this earth either, no matter how hard the dark side tries to keep it in a lower frequency. The earth is rising in vibration, and we all naturally would be rising along with it if it was not for all the efforts of the dark side to keep us down. Because again, we're on an ascension path. We're heading upwards. We recognize what's going on, and it's really our choice. Recognizing that the body is just a vehicle. Hey, my first vehicle was a 70s Chevy Impala. I liked it a lot. I enjoyed it. My second vehicle was a Plymouth Satellite 71. I liked that one even better. But, they ended up in the junk heap, and they're probably tuna fish cans now. Who knows, if they were recycled or what. It doesn't matter. I'm still here. Even when this body is no longer this body, we still exist.
We're definitely here. We are who we are. So this feeling and this sensation that you have as you sit wherever you're at and knowing that you are, you just simply are, that never changes.
And the beauty is that in these times, as we get more and more impacted by the changing energies, the sun has been going crazy a lot lately. It's sending a lot of DNA altering information, because again, light is information. and it's restoring us. This is the real God, the true God with the big G, the source behind all things, that is kind of righting this ship, because Source wants us to be unique expressions of ourselves. That's the whole purpose, because Source is within us. Source is within every single one of us. That's the beauty of it. And so when Jesus said, I and my Father are one, that's what he was saying. He knew that Source, God with the big G, is in him. He recognized that. He also recognized that he lived before. So, this solves a lot of these statements. When he said that he that believeth on me, the works that I do, shall he do also. Greater works than these even he shall do. How could we, if he was the only unique one, how could we possibly do even greater than him, even by believing on him? Well, because in believing on him, he's telling us, Source is in you, God's in you. Just recognize that. I and the Father are one, you and the Father are one, you and the Mother are one. Just recognize that. And belief. He never really said, when somebody said, oh, thank you, Lord, you healed me. He never said, yeah, you're damn right I did. No. He always said, your belief has healed you. Or he'll say, go and sin no more. So don't go down the dark path. Don't return to our old ways. Cultivate the love, cultivate the positivity, cultivate that knowing the great ultimate truth of all. And, that ultimate truth is that we're all one. That's the bottom line. We are all individual cells in the same body. And there's even that reference, mainstream fundamentalist Christians, they might not understand things the way that somebody that's studied all these other traditions like myself understands them, and they may view that I'm totally wrong. There's only one way. Yeah, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Yeah, through the heart chakra. The way of compassion, the way of love, the way of peace, the way of understanding the oneness behind all things. That's the way, the truth, and the life. That's the unity he's talking about. Only ego's beliefs and fears separate us, and those fears and those dogmatic beliefs and, the egos. Look at how the dark side cultivates that. I'm proud to be whatever, X, Y, or Z. Like you're putting it on a pedestal above and higher than anybody else out there that's not of the same place, the same locale. Born under the same circumstances. We've all had so many different lives. I've shared with you guys, I've been blessed to be able to recollect several lives in bits and pieces. And I know the last one, I was born in Russia, in the vicinity of St. Petersburg. So, if I was born in this life over there, it'd be a very, very different perhaps opinion of what's going on in the world, at least looking at the media, for sure, right? So when we're talking about pride, that's going after the ego, which can lead to separation. And when we're being very dogmatic, again, that can lead to separation. And of course, when we're always fearing a new boogeyman because they're telling us to fear another boogeyman, that's another thing that's leading to separation. These are the things we need to overcome. We need to understand. We need to work together. Again, the different organs in the body do not war against each other. The heart's not going to invade the space of the lungs. The kidneys are not planning a sneak attack on the spleen. The large intestine's not going to go gobble up your brain. That's just craziness. And the nonstop warring is craziness as well.
And the foot is not jealous of the hand, so we can go over that. And also, when it does come to these different beliefs or different fears, these are still emotions that we want to experience, we want to feel. I think it's just when it reaches the point of dire separation, that's where we have to kind of step back and reassess things and move forward with the understanding that, okay, this is an experience, but we're still all one.
Absolutely. So when we look and we recognize that we've lived countless lives, we've probably lived in many different countries on this planet, many different philosophies and religions have probably been embraced by us in different lives, and we probably have been both genders. Again, that changes everything, does it not? Does it not change everything? And this is from the Bhagavad Gita, which is recognized in many minds to be the greatest work of the Hindu faith. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and the useless ones. It's just that simple. Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita is feeling very conflicted. So there's these two different groups that are relatives that are about to face each other on the battlefield. And Krishna, who is recognized as being an incarnation of the creator of the universe, Vishnu, well, he is basically trying to tell him, how it is that we have to do a duty, or we came here to do a particular duty. And many have wrestled with this. I mean, I've wrestled with this too. It's something we all wrestle with, as far as, or maybe we don't. How do we reconcile, say, where Yeshua says, turn the other cheek? And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you have to stop the evil from taking over. And how many of us have wrestled with this question in our world right now?
Well, to me, when I look at when it comes to the innocent, when it comes to our children, it comes to our pets, it comes to our loved ones who are defenseless, in that sense, yes, you definitely step up and you defend those who cannot defend themselves, and that's what our position is on this planet.
And when we asked, and I did ask Yeshua when he was channeling through Cindy that very question, and that's what he said. He said, it's up to those who can recognize the situation and realize what's going on to defend the defenseless. And, that might look like different things. When we look to, say, World War II, for instance, and we look at the persecution that was going towards a certain group of people, but there were actually many groups that were being persecuted. And there were many that risked their lives to get them out of the area and get them across a border. And it could look as simple as that. And it could be as simple as just basically banding together and getting outside of the system, or awakening people to the fact of what's going on. If somebody is about to go and drink the Kool-Aid, for instance, let's just do it that way. Let's take a peek at Heaven's Gate, for instance, that whole fiasco. And you recognize what's going on, and you don't want somebody to drink the Kool-Aid. You illuminate them and tell them, hey, this is crazy. And the same thing with this world. We see craziness being condoned by the highest authorities. And it is craziness when we look at it from a spiritual perspective, and we look at it from the bigger picture perspective of we're all one. This stoking the fires, this fanning the flames, this trying to build up enmity and hatred between others is so counterintuitive, so counterproductive. And again, they're using our ego, they're feeding our fears, they're creating separation. This is the type of evil that Krishna was saying we cannot condone, we cannot not help others defend themselves against it, even if it's just simply by illuminating their minds and getting them to recognize what's going on.
I think illumination is so extremely important, because as we've been raised out here in the West, the understandings, our belief systems are structured in such a way that don't necessarily benefit all. But when we know better, when we are able to allow ourselves to be illuminated, when we know better, we do better.
So remember when we were just talking about how Yeshua said that I and the Father are one, and at that time the religious authorities went to pick up rocks and stone him because they had no clue. Because their minds were in darkness and they couldn't understand the truth that he was stating. Here we have Arjuna questioning Krishna because Krishna says that he instructed the science of yoga, and yoga just means union with God. He instructed the science of yoga to the sun god. And the sun god instructed it to Manu, who was the father of mankind, the first man. And Manu, in turn, instructed it to Iskvaku. So when Arjuna heard that, he became bewildered. He was thinking, well, Krishna's my friend. We're about the same age. We were born about the same time. How could he possibly have taught the science of yoga to the sun god? Millions of years ago? Billions of years ago? This doesn't make any sense. The sun god's way older than you. How am I to understand this? How did you teach it to him? And again, it's because Krishna recognized all his past lives. He knows who he is. We don't really know who we are until we know who the higher self, the soul, is.
Right. And that's the importance of remembering, understanding who you are, understanding your quirks, your likes, your dislikes, because this is something that helps us understand where we've come from, giving us a better idea of where we're going.
And this is exactly, the misunderstanding that is perpetrated upon the earth right now. There's so many things that are just labeled divine mysteries, but they're not really mysteries. Just expand your horizon. Just maybe read some other traditions. Contemplate, meditate on, look within. And so this statement is it's the same sort of reaction in some ways, although obviously when we're talking about the Pharisees and the Sadducees, when Yeshua said, I and the Father are one, they wanted to kill him. Arjuna didn't want to kill his good friend. He just was totally confused. But it is explained, and this is where he goes into that, saying the difference between me and you, Arjuna, is I know all my incarnations. I remember them all. I can pull upon all that knowledge, the knowledge of thousands and hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of incarnations. Can you imagine how wise we would be if we can do that?
There are ways to help bring understanding about who we once were, and that's taking a good look at yourself and who you are today to see what information has been saved in your energy field. So that's a good way to look at things moving forward.
And this is the difference when we get and we do that big shift and we head on up into that fifth density. It's the knowing. Like we've asked, for instance, Laurel, our contact at the Galactic Federation, and she has memories of past lives. They know these things, and they also are very, very careful with many different aspects of their lives, much more careful than we are here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, their aspect and their understandings are very much different from what we've been taught here on third density. So with life, moving through life, they access things in much different ways, which gives them a different perception on how to live that life in 5D.
Absolutely. So I hope that you guys will enjoy your blessed day and keep looking forward towards that time when humanity will shift and we will have a new paradigm, and this whole system will be nothing but a faded memory that we could barely remember.
Yes, something that we definitely learned from.
Absolutely, because we do. That's the whole point of everything, is learning and growing. And so again, please do subscribe to both channels. Thank you for your support on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys there. And also on Ko-Fi, where you could do a one-time donation to support the channel or monthly donations, just like on Patreon. Do check out Medicinal Foods. They have good articles there too. This is on how to improve gut health, which is so important for our immune system. Make sure to use coupon code EEA. There's a link, see, right here on every single video, take you to Medicinal Foods, also to our website where you could check out more about us, and then all of our other channels that are here as well. Much love, you guys. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.